Tractate Bava Batra, page 112. We are 2 lines from the top of the page. We continue the subject of law of inheritance. We discussed the idea of husband inherited wife, the sources for that. We're also going to discuss the Bechor, the firstborn. The Torah said that he have a double portion. The question is how far you go with that. He inherited only existing estate, but not something that it will be in the future part of his father's estate, such as a future inheritance. So here we are, Mai ve'omer, 2 lines from the top of page 112. The question is why Rabbi Ishmael have 5 sources to his notion that the husband inherited wife, why he's not sufficient with one. We learned that the sources, the story of our people, how Joshua divided the land. They said at the end of the book of Bamidbar, they took a lottery and they basically divided the estate of Israel to the tribes that inherited and subdivision by families. The concern was the first generation that the estate will not transfer by having the daughter marry out of the tribe, transferring her estate from one tribe to another. And we explained that the source, Rabbi Ishmael said that the source, it's because the sibat ha'em, that the sibat haben, that the old daughter inherited the estate. It means that the son, so you may have a notion that the reason for that source is not because the husband inherited wife, but because the son inherited his mother. So they said, Aval Baal lo yarit. So the husband not. So Tashma, here we have another pasuk in book of Bamidbar, chapter 36, verse 7. V'lo tisov nachala livnei Yisrael mimata lemate. So the inheritance should not transfer from one tribe to another. So it means that the transfer of land could occur by means of a husband inheriting from her. Which means that they have here 2 violations, the negative commandment but also the positive one, which is the Torah emphasized by saying this second line to tell us that she is the cause to transfer the inheritance from one location to another, and it's called lav habam bichlal aseh. Lav habam bichlal aseh, you don't have malkot. So they said tashma v'lo tisov nachala mate lemate acher. So since both sentences speak about transferring of the state from one tribe to another by the son, so it means the second one has to be a transferring of the estate by the husband, and it means for our discussion that the husband inherited, this is a source that the husband inherited his wife's estate. You may say that this verse is to have a 2 violation of for that act and 2 prohibition and a positive mitzvah. So therefore you have the pasuk Tashma ve'Elazar ben Aaron met. They said in the book of Yoshua chapter 24 that Elazar, son of Aaron, passed away, and they said vayikveru uto begivat Pinchas bno. They bury him on the hill of his son Pinchas. So what type of estate Pinchas have that the father doesn't have? So it means that he inherited his wife. V'chi teima Elazar u denasiv iteta umeta virata. You may say that Elazar, his father, who married a woman who inherited land, and she subsequently died, and her son Pinchas inherited from her. So that this pasuk proves the inheritance of a son and not of a husband. So therefore, Tashma usguv holid et Yair. That's the pasuk of Divrei Yamim we use several times. Usguv begat Yair. So, and the pasuk said that you have 23 cities in the land of Gilad. So you derive from that Yair have an estate that Seguv, his father, doesn't have, and therefore it's a proof that he inherited his wife. Why you need two pesukim, 2 verses to tell us that the son inherited his mother's estate? So you have to say that one of them applies to a husband inherited his wife. Amar Rav Papa Abaye mimai. How do you know from the pasuk of Yair that the husband inherited his wife? Dilma lolam imalach ba lo yarit. The husband not inherited his wife. Ukra'i besibat haden kedei shaninan. And the 3 pesukim, the first 3 pesukim dealing with the transferring of estate, speak about transferring estate by the son, but not by the husband. V'yair bezavin Mizban. So the Yair purchased those cities and not inherited it from his wife. So it means that we just speak about the wealth of Yair. Upiנחas name dezavin Mizban. So Piנחas also, you go by the same notion that Piנחas also, he purchased it from the third party. אמר לי פנחס לדוד מזמן לא מצא אמר אם כן נמצאת השדה חוזרת ביובל. You hear a notion that the estate returned in the Jubilee year, that's the Leviticus chapter 25, and ונמצאת צדיק קבור בקבר שאינו שלו. You find a righteous man, Elazar, that was buried in a cave in the land, in the burial site, that it's not his. So you derive at least from there that the son inherited his mother. You have to say that it's from it's fell from the dedicated field, which means that's the part that divided by the Kohanim, and that's the Piנחas part. That's what the Torah said in Bamidbar, chapter 18, that there is a field that divided, it's dedicated, it's consecrated for the priest, and divided. So if a person, for example, take an ancestry field and consecrated it, and the treasurer sell it to another party, so when the Jubilee year, that estate is not returned to the one who consecrated it, but divided among the priest. You have to say that here it's from a dedicated field. Piנחas, as a Kohen, may have owned the land by that means. So you see here that he can still say that the husband does not inherit it from his wife, and the pasuk are concerned about the transfer of inheritance from one tribe to another by means of a son. Amar Abaye sof sof. Eventually, when you talk about inheritance of a daughter for 2 different tribes, when she married to someone from her parental tribe, you have here a situation that ultimately the inherited of the mother uprooted from the tribe of the mother to the tribe of the father. So basically you have here the violation. So why the Torah allow her to marry to someone who's not from her father's tribe? Over there it's already been transferred by the mother of the woman who when she married the father. So the Torah is no longer concerned with the continued transfer. אמר לי שכבר הוסבה לו אמרינן. אמר לי רבי אמר לרב אשי, היא אמרת בשלמה שכבר הוסבה עם ניתוק מקרא בסיבת הבעל בסיבת הבן בסיבת הבעל. אבל היא אמרת לו אמרינן, שכבר הוסבה כי אם נסבה לאחד משפחת מטה אביה, מה הווה? המתעקרה נחלה משבטה לאמה לשבטה לאבא. It's uprooted of a state from the tribe of the mother, tribe of the father. So the Gemara said, מזבין לגברא דאבוי משבטה דאבוה ומימי דשמטה דאימי. You have to say that where we marry her to a man whose father is from the father's tribe and his mother is from her mother's tribe, so the transfer is avoided as the land retains the exact status as it had when it was the woman's possession. Now, the Rashbam elaborates here and said that the statement lo tiso, which will not transfer, applies solely for the father estate. Page 112b. So here the Gemara challenged that and it said, "Ihachei The question here is, if you zoom in the text on the book of Numbers chapter 36 verse 8, here we talk about the inheritance. And what you see here, that the wife has the hypothetical possibility to have an inheritance of both estates, which is the father's estate and the husband's estate. Why? Because when she married to someone that his father is from the same tribe and his mother is the same tribe, that's a regular case. However, as we said earlier, if she married to someone who's in a different tribe, and as we explained yesterday, if her father and the brothers all passed away childless, you have now a very interesting dynamic that she can have dual inheritance that derive from the one pasuk. So that's basically the Rashbam explained the issue of what exactly Abaye have a problem with that. So that's the text said le'echad. It means to one meaning one of the family of the tribe of her father. So again, to understand the whole structure is as follows. We have the situation that Moshe Rabbeinu handed over to Joshua the leadership. While he handed over the leadership, it was the issue of dividing the land in advance. They go with the notion to do a lottery. By having a lottery, they cast a lot, and each tribe get his own part, which is the 2.5 tribes get in the Jordan part, which is the tribe of Gad, half of Menashe and Reuven. Then you have the tribe of Levi, they get nothing because they serve in the temple. The 8.5 tribes that left, they have a estate that obviously the land of Israel, they have valleys, they have mountains. You have to divide it in a way that it's fair. So you basically cast a lottery, and by cast a lottery, each tribe get his own portion, and within the portion they have subdivision for families. So the first stage was the idea that the first generation should not married out of the tribe. They want to maintain a structure of the tribunal inheritance, and in that sense you have a cases of situation that as the Torah described at the end of the book of Bamidbar, of a daughter that can inherit it too. So the case is, as we said, if she came from a family that the father left no one else, and the brothers have no children, and she married, when she married, she have a brother that potentially can be married and have children. So that's the reason why she was able to marry someone who is not from her tribe. And then her husband passed away, which is a property from a different tribe. Her father passed away, and the two brothers passed away, and they have no children. So you see the situation like that. So the Gemara said, if it was written Mate Avi Avima, which means you go by the tribunal of the father and the mother, Hava Amina Afilu Ipcha, which means she can marry, hypothetically speaking, even at that early stage, before you divided the estate, to someone who has the opposite lineage, which means that his father is from the tribe of her mother, and his mother is from the tribe of her father. Why? Because the way the Rashbam explained the Torah was very strict with lineage when it's come to the lineage of the husband that come from the two tribes. And therefore the inheritance of the father and the inheritance of the mother were not totally uprooted, because each of them has a side from different tribe. So they said Kamash Melan, so that's the reason why you have the text to tell us that as long as she married someone who's connected to both tribes, it is permitted, that the opposite is not. But again, it's still possibility, as the Mefarshim, as the rabbis explain here. You see it in the Tosfot, you see it in the Rashbam. You see a possibility that even the mother has to be from her maternal tribunal part, in order to make sure that the estate of the mother will not be totally uprooted. Now the Gemara go back to our previous discussion, and we talk the discussion by the transferring estate by the son or by the husband. Tanya besibat ben. Here we're concerning the marriage of a woman who inherited land. So we learn the Braita, when you have the transfer of inheritance by means of a son, so we learn as follows: Tanya besibata ben v'tanya besibata baal, which means you have a situation that it was transfer of estate by the son, it's possibility by the husband. So the first one, the book of Bamidbar, chapter 36, ולא תיסוב נחלה לבני ישראל ממטה אל מטה בסיבת הבן hakatuv medaber. So the text said that the inheritance should not transfer from tribe to tribe. So it speaks about transferring of the inheritance by means of a son, which is the Torah is basically prohibits the woman from marrying a man from a different tribe. Again, that was just for a short period of time, since her son will inherit from her, and thereby the inheritance will transfer away from the original tribe. But again, remember, the code is that it was just one time, one generation. אתה אומר בסיבת הבן או לא בסיבת הבעל, you talk about the transfer by means of a son, but actually it's by the husband, because if you zoom in the text, כשהוא אומר, in the book of במדבר, chapter 36, verse 9, they said, ולא תיסוב נחלה ממטה למטה אחר, that we said that the estate should not transfer from one tribe to another tribe. הרי בסיבת הבעל אמור. Later, in page 113, we talk about the means of husband, how that can be. How exactly we now, after all this long discussion, we understand the line in the book of Numbers, chapter 36, verse 7, so shall no inheritance of the children of Israel transfer from tribe to tribe. You have to say, besibat haben hakatuv metaber. We talk about inheritance by means of a son. So it means this Tanakh not accepted the idea that this pasuk talk about a both husband and the wife that transfer from two estates, because the Rashbam explained based on the Gemarrah in Pesachim 24 b that it cannot be the two pesukim that meaning. There's a book called Dvar Yaakov, Ot Aleph. He asked a very basic question. The question he asked is, what's the difference? What's the nafkamina if the sibat haben or sibat habal? What's the difference it makes if we go either direction? Again, what I'm trying to do now is I'm giving you a vignette for my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law wrote a beautiful book called Daf al Daf, Rabbi Mandelbaum. So he brought this from Dvar Yaakov. So he brought Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman, may rest in peace, the one who was murdered during the Shoah, during the Holocaust. He explained that if the wife cannot have a child because there is a concern of a sibat ben, so that's the only way to think why all of this come to discussion. But he brought also the Shiur of Shmuel Grozovsky, who he tried to say a notion that גם הסבת הבן עובר בזמן נישואין, that the moment of marriage, even the meaning of a son transfer. He brought also a book called Gidulei Shmuel, that he said is only a time of marriage, not in time of engagement. Anyway, I think the best source is the Ramban, Rabbeinu Moshe ben Nachman, by the end of a Parashat Mas'ei. Let's finish. We are now on page 113. תניא אידך ולא תיסוב נחלה ממטה למטה אחר בסיבת הבעל. הכתוב מדבר. אתה אומר בסיבת הבעל לא נראה בסיבת הבן. You talk by meaning of the husband, not by the son. כשהוא אומר ולא תיסוב נחלה לבני ישראל ממטה למטה, סיבת הבן אמורה. אני מכם לא תיסוב נחלה למטה למטה, בסיבת הבעל הכתוב מדבר. So the same notion here, we speak about the husband, and וכולי עלמא מיית מטה למטה אחר בסיבת הבעל הכתוב מדבר, מה עם משמע? So what did derive from this pasuk? אמר רבא בר שילה, אמר קרא איש. Ish, when you talk about a male term, so Travayu Ish Ktiv Behu, so they said in both pesukim, it's written the word ish, so therefore both pesukim should be interpreted with regard to the transfer of inheritance by means of the husband. This is a different pasuk. The Torah speaks about the beginning of creation. It says that the man leave his parents, and should cleave to his wife. That's Bereshit chapter 2 verse 24. So we derive from that connotation that when you talk about cleave, shall cleave in both verses, so both verses should be interpreted with regard to the transfer of inheritance by means of the husband. So the Gemara rejected even that notion. It said Ravai yidbeku k'tivbu, both pesukim it's written yidbeku, so Amarav Amarka yidbeku matot. You speak about the tribes of the children of Israel shall cleave, and tribe cleaves to one another through, obviously, to marriage. Not by men that marry wife from different tribe. Another option is Ravashi Amar Kami Mate Lemate Acher. Ravashi tried to zoom in and said, if you zoom in the pasuk, they said from one tribe to another tribe. So Amar Kami Mate Lemate Acher Ben Lav Acheru. When you talk about the son, is not considered another, quote unquote. He is an extension of his mother. So as you see, this we go just by the basic Rashbam explanation. Obviously there is a Ramban, the Maimonides and the Rimigash that elaborates on that, and I highly recommend it both at the end of Parashat Mas'eh, as well as the Ramban here, Maimonides, who much elaborate on this subject.